There's a new team in the AFLE that could possibly make or break the league. I got a hot take about that. Also, the infrastructure in Berlin, not as strong as we thought. Not as strong as we thought. There's 3 new faces in the EFA that I want to dive into, and we have our second team preview heading in to this year of what Euro football is going to look like. Let's get it. Here we go, Athletes Forum Podcast. You know what it is. You know what it is. It's the locker room. Thank you all for tuning in and coming back. But if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, drop a comment and let's get this party started. Hey, there's been a lot that's happened since the last time we talked last Tuesday. I know I'm coming a day late, right? But better late than never, but never late is better. All right, so let's talk about it. Athletes Forum Podcast. We got a lot of things we want to dive into today, right? We have a schedule. We all been asking for a schedule. We all been asking when games are going to play. A league gave us a schedule. I got some thoughts on how we should feel about that. There's a new team in the AFLE. I have a hot take that could possibly make or break the league and a couple of reasons why, right? We're going to want to monitor that going forward. What else we going to talk about? Berlin. The infrastructure is not as strong as Berlin, right? There's some cracks in the wall in Berlin, right? We'll talk about that a little bit as well, too. I got 3 new names I want to kind of dive into that are part of the EFA, right? Listen, until a league gives me a contract or wants me to cover a league exclusively, I'm just going to cover both leagues in the meantime. But there's some new names I want to dive into when it comes to the EFA and who and what we should think about those names going forward. And second team preview, right? Second team preview. We're going to dive into, watch to the end of the show, and then you'll see what team I'm talking about. But it's a new team. It's a team that's been hot, and they have a potential unicorn that I'm going to dive into as well. So don't leave me too soon, right? All right, stay tuned and drop a comment. So let's get into it. But before we really dive into what's been going on in regards to the new edition of the AFLE, right? We got one league in the EFA that's really starting to get the ground running, taking things a little bit slower, getting off to a slower start. We got another league in the AFLE that's really pushing the pace, getting off to a faster start, right? We're seeing signings, we're seeing schedules, we're seeing teams, right? My message is, as fans of European football, let's see how this all plays out, right? Let's study the product. Let's project into the future, right? Let's see what these leagues are going to give us, right? Because we saw what happened with the other league, right? Now, ultimately, we want long-term stability, right? We want this all to work out one way or another. I'm a firm believer that both leagues aren't going to coexist. One league's going to come on top, right? So don't get blindsided about what's going on, good, bad, slow, fast, one way or another, right? Let's see how it all plays out. Let's see how the product is, right? Let's judge it. Let's support the league that we think is going to take us to the promised land, okay? Now, we're done with all that. Let's dive right into it, right? 5 minutes and let's dive right into it. Hey, London is coming to Europe as a American, football team, right? The AFLE is bringing a team from London and giving it to us in 2026, right? In my opinion, again, I have no allegiance, right? This London team is going to be a huge impact one way or another, right? For the AFLE, for the good, bad, ugly, right? This London team could potentially make or break the AFLE. Let me explain. For the past 3 to 5 years in the ELF, we've been waiting for a London team, right? It's been the most hype potential destination that we've been waiting for since they announced Paris, right? It's been the team, literally players have been probably the most intrigued about. Imports, homegrowns, right? Future Europeans. It is the one location that people know can have success if done right. And listen, we've been waiting for this team for so long, right? The AFLE and the London team, they have to hit. They have to be a success, right? They can't just be a team in 2026, right? Especially when you're looking across the league at your competitor, you know the backing that London team is going to get. You know the infrastructure that team is going to have, right? So the AFLE London team can't flop. No. They can't flop. They have to be successful year one, right? They have to prove that they can win homegrowns. Some of the top homegrowns too, right? They've lost some as Europeans, right? Homegrowns got to trust in this London team, whatever this London team is going to be, right? To even have a great product, right? Now, London's big enough where you can have two successful franchises, right? But this London team has to do it right because you're setting the tone, right? You're setting the tone. If this London team is done right, the EFA London team, I'm not gonna say they could be in trouble, but they're gonna have an uphill battle, right? But if you flip that, the EFA is gonna look at this AFL team and look like, what are they doing wrong? What are they doing right? And how are we gonna implement it, right? You're literally giving the EFA London team the blueprint one way or another. The AFLE London team has to be done right. They have to win in all facets, right? Coaching staff, stadium, fans, marketing, players, they have to win, right? Now, their general manager, right, Marvin Allen, former Super Bowl champ with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out to Tanner from Fourth Down Fiasco, right? He also has some experience in NFL Europe with the Rhein Fire, the Frankfurt Galaxy, the Amsterdam Admirals, right? He also has experience coaching with the London Warriors. Now, there's been a rumor going around Europe that's going to have some type of affiliation with this AFLE London team. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong, right? I'm just telling you, what's been floating around. What's been floating around. Now, as I mentioned, how they could get it right is you got to win big on the homegrowns because there are a ton of homegrowns out there that you could snag up and be successful. But you got to win. You got to win in those recruiter battles. They got to trust the process. The thing that concerns me about the AFLE is there's just so much newness to it, right? Where your competitor has 7 proven products. I'm getting a London team, a Paris team, a team from Florence, a Swiss team, all built from scratch. Listen, Morris could say they know the market, whatever. Listen, all these teams are built from scratch, right? So that's what's going to be interesting, right? Who's going to be the quarterback for this London team, right? Who are the homegrowns they're going to attract? This London AFLE team has to hit year one. And if they don't, in my opinion, it's going to set the league back. Now, you're probably saying, like, why are you putting so much emphasis on one team on an entire league? People are already questioning the competitiveness of this league just because, again, it's a lot of unknown. But as I mentioned before in my opening soliloquy, we've been waiting for this London team to come to light to show that they can compete at the top of the top, right? We've been waiting for a London team to do that. And if this first product of this London team doesn't do that, we're taking a couple steps back. We're taking a couple steps back. That's all it is. That's all there is to it. So I'm excited to see how all this unfolds. Listen, you got to give him a chance. I'm going to give him a chance. I don't want to make it sound like I'm being negative, but we just seen, the ELF dismantle in front of our eyes, right? Them trying to get a London team. It sounds like it was in the works and it was going to come, right? But just because now we have the interest there, I don't want this to be rushed. I want this to be done right. So I'm putting pressure on the London team. Like, listen, get it right. Get it right for the locker room, right? Get it right for us. We need to see this London team be successful and compete, right? You can't be getting blown out to Wrocław, the Rhein Fire, and Vienna. There's enough talent around Europe that could be homegrowns that you could build upon and have depth to compete. So whatever this London football team is going to look like, we got to give it a shot. We got to give it a shot and see how it all pans out, right? See how it all pans out. Hey, listen, The infrastructure in Berlin is cracking. The infrastructure. Listen, whenever you lose your two youngest stars, running back Chris Micaiah and offensive rookie year in the ELF, Tyler Foster. Whenever you lose those, just out the blue, one went to a different league. Not even the EFA. One went to the GFL and the Potsdam Royals. And the other one just became a free agent, right? So whenever you're losing your future, it's a level for concern, rightfully so. Am I wrong? Drop a comment. Let me know tell me if I'm right or wrong. But just look at the history of Berlin since probably 2 or 3 years. I think when ownership changed and Bureau Warner went out, you got the Kyle Kitchens, unhappiness, right? So to say, you got Aaron Jackson, who left Berlin to go to Helvetic. Let that sink in. Left Berlin to go to Helvetic. Berlin had a clause in the contract, couldn't play for Helvetic, right? Didn't even want to go back to Berlin, right? Went to the GFL. And now Tyler Foster and Christian McKay are the two latest ones, right? Now they got some signings, but there's some players. I'm not going to call out any names, but if you just read the comment section, there's some players calling out the organization, calling out ownership, right? And I know, there's some guys in there that's trying to turn it around. I get it, right? Even Kyle Kitchens came back. Jock Crawford came back, right? So we'll see how all that works out. But, it's not a good look when you're starting to lose, like, your future, right? We say the adage all the time. You're only as what? All right? You're only as good as your homegrowns, right? You're only as good as your homegrowns. And the fact that I'm losing two of my top homegrowns and maybe two of the top homegrowns in the league, it's not really a good look. It's not really a good look for Berlin. So we'll see how it pans out. Jacob Sullivan is coming back, right? So they do have some experience at the quarterback position, which is something that, you definitely are going to need in any top league. So, are we going to give it a chance? I don't know. But Berlin they were a team similar to the Colts around the Andrew Luck era. They were a team that each year got one step further. And then it just seemed like as of last year, 2 years ago, it's two steps back. So we'll see what it's out. Shout out to Josh Parsnowski, just re-signed, right? Just re-signed with the Berlin Thunder. So we'll see how it all pans out. We'll see how it all pans out, right? Let's go into the EFA a little bit. 3 new faces. Whoa, hold on. Before I dive into that, I want to give a shout out and a token of my appreciation to my guy Sandro Platzcomer. When I started Athletes Forum Podcast, he was the first athlete. Really gave me a chance. Didn't even know who I was. Didn't even know what the platform was about. Right? Got the chance to do an article. Got a chance to follow his career. Right? That was at the start of him going to the IPP program. He goes to the Giants. Oddly enough, he lives a couple towns over because I'm from Jersey. He moved to Jersey, obviously playing with the Giants. He took a shot on your boy, right? He took a shot in the locker room. I sincerely appreciate him for that, right? Especially for someone that's trying to establish that credibility. Now, I played in Europe, but no one kind of knew me like they knew him, right? So I just want to say, Sandro, happy retirement, brother. Welcome to this side of things, right? Welcome to this side of football, right? The washed up club, right? We welcome you dearly. It's been a hell of a year. It's been fun following you. I just want to give you, your flowers, my man, because you definitely appreciate it. Now, 3 new faces, not just in EFA in Europe, I want to get familiar with, right? First one, Madrid signs a DB who played at BYU last year, Marquis Collins. Now, I haven't studied his film yet, right? But from what I've been hearing and what I've been seeing, this might be a good signing. Might be a future dog in the making in Europe, right? Now, you're gonna read that and say, like, well, he played at BYU, he played in the Big 12. Like, listen, not everyone who plays at the top level can translate over to Europe. Europe's a different ball game, right? Just ask Talia Tagovailoa, right, from Hamburg last year, right? So that transition is always not as easy as you may think, right? But Marquis Collins from Madrid, I'm excited to see how he's going to look, right? That Madrid defense, is looking good, right? You got Paz and Fernando coming back up front. Arthur Kingdom just signed Pablo's back there. Madrid could be a problem. We'll get into spoiler. We're not doing them as our team preview, but we'll see how they look when we get to Madrid and we do that team preview. The next name I want to dive into a little bit, right? Blanchard Mabuku, wide receiver, Paris Musketeers. Can he be the next Noah Toure? That's the question I have. Length of receiver, right? Could stretch the field a little bit, right? He does well at catching the ball downfield, right? Can he be the next Noah Toure for the Paris Musketeers, right? And really solidify really the type of athlete he is early in the game, right? Early in the game. Now, listen, he's going to get a chance to go up against some good talent. Good talent with that Paris team, right? So he'll get better, right? Iron sharpens iron. But I'm going to be curious to see, like, can he be someone that could, maybe be a Kevin Kaya, right? Maybe someone that could be opposite attack of them. Maybe free up somebody for Remy and Austin Mitchell, right? Can he replace the lack of production from LaRose or Anthony Mahungu, who's a little bit on the older side, right? So we'll see. We'll see how that all pans out. But I'm excited to see how he pans out for Paris and really what Zach does with him, right? Really what Zach does with him. Last name, I got to say the best for last, right? And best, I mean by best name, best nickname, right? Jalen Clay. Some will call him J. Clay. Some call me J. Clay, right? Signs with the Frankfurt Galaxy. Frankfurt known for going the defensive back route. This is no surprise. Right? This is a team that really you can almost say started the trend of going the 2 DB route. Really first year in the ELF when you had Desmond Cooper, right, and Omari Williams, right? Pair those up with Sebastian Gauthier, Josh Posnowski. They had a squad in Frankfurt that year, right? Jalen Clay, I'm excited to see how he pans out. Good size, in my opinion, for a DB, right? I like me a corner that could press, right? I like me a corner that's patient and press. And this is someone that's definitely that can do that and will do that, right? So I'm excited to see how he is against some really good receiver talent coming up in the EFA, right? All right. Now, before we dive into this team preview, right, we got some news from the AFLE. We got a schedule from the AFLE, right? Let me bring it up here real quick. All right. 51 games, one champion, right? It's going to be a 16-week schedule. We already know the teams, right? Games are set to start May 23rd, 24th, so around the same time frame as the ELF when it started, ending roughly around the same time frame, September 6th, right? 2 bye weeks. Looks like there's a league bye, week 11, okay? 2 conferences. One thing that I wish that they did do when I'm looking at the playoff rankings, right, and I'll show it here on the screen as well, I wish they took the top 2 seeds, right, and I wish whoever 3 and 4 was, I wish they flipped them, right, because it looks like, hold on, I'm looking at this now. Oh, no, actually, that's what they are doing, okay. They're going to play the opposite team, right? So when I first looked at this graphic, I was like, wait, why would they go play somebody in the division for a third time? But no, they're going to play opposite league. So we have a schedule. We have a start date. Now we'll start seeing what matchups are we going to get. It's a guaranteed 4 games a week, right? I want to know how, as an American, I'm going to be able to watch these games, right? As I mentioned earlier, AFLE, moving fast, right? They're giving us some things to kind of dive into. So we'll see how all this pans out. All right. Now, the team I want to dive into, right? And if you missed this, last week team preview, we did the Prague Lions. All right. This week, we're going to do the Vlorë Panthers. All right. We're going to do the Vlorë Panthers, right? They've been having a good offseason. I can't lie. Now, this is a team that over the past has had QB issues, has had DB issues with signing the right guys, cutting guys maybe too soon, right? Maybe not fixing the issues that they've had either at the quarterback or DB position. let's kind of talk about what the Panthers have been doing this offseason. So, Russell Panthers playing in the AFLE, right? Right off the bat, they bring Dave Lycan and Troy Tomlin to the mix, right? Lycan is becoming the head coach. He is one of the top defensive coordinators in all of Europe, right? Spent some time with the New York Lions, spent some time even with Michael on the Broncos, right? He's been around, right? People love Dave Likens. I like Dave. I've never met Dave Likens, but as a defensive player, I can respect his game, how he calls the game, his philosophy, and stuff like that. Troy Tomlin, assistant head coach, he'll be coaching up the O-line, right? He'll be coaching up the O-line. I'm sure he'll have maybe some type of presence with that offense, right? But I like these two pairing up, right? Seeing what they did in New Yorker, now with the Russell Panthers. Now, you lose A.J. Wentland. He went to the X League, right? It's not a goodbye. Just see you soon, all right? Now, what did they do from a player acquisition standpoint? Well, first of all, they went to go get an experienced quarterback, Jameson Wayne. Love it, right? Love Jameson Wayne as a quarterback. Saw what he did in Frankfurt. Saw he competed down the stretch with the Surge and all those other teams. Like that signing. Not only that, you go get Mike Harley Jr. from the Surge. Speed, right? Can stretch the field, can be the X. Pair him up with Otender, right? Who played there last year as well too, right? David Brzezowski is about to flourish in this offense, right? Because Jameson Wayne complements David Davidi. I'm sorry, I'm messing up the name. David Brzezowski. Jameson Wayne complements David Brzezowski much better than DJ Irons does. And it's not a shot at DJ Irons, it's just a style of play, right? This offense should and needs to run through David and allow Jameson to complement his talent. Now, they signed a unicorn, right? They signed someone who's played international, right? But never really in the Europe side, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to get familiar with the name Dylan St. Pierre. This is someone who has really good size as a tight end, really good hands as a tight end, right? Someone who's going to threaten the middle, but also threaten the outside, especially on those 7 routes. He runs a nice 7 route, right? He knows DB's over top, flattening out, DB behind, stretch it deep. If once him and Jameson get, in sync, that could be lethal, right? Now, pair him up with Mike Harley Jr., pair him up with Ergato Tender, and this Vlosov Panthers receiving court is a lot different than what it used to be. This is a receiving court that has size, it has speed. And another thing Dylan does well is that if he gets vertical on you, he's going to stack you and it's over. That's the end of it. As long as you get the ball in the center, he's going to catch it, right? Dylan St. Pierre is a unicorn. Dylan St. Pierre is a name you're going to want to keep an eye out for and a name that could potentially do some damage, right? And I think he will. Right? They found the guy. I'm high on him. I like that signing. And not to mention up front, still some things yet to be signed, right? But you got two E's that you spent, and Adelinka Loyoye, right? And actually, he played for the Enthroners. And you got a guard and Laurentius Venters, right? A guard with a mean streak, right? A guard with a mean streak, which is something that Troy Tomlin's going to like. On the defensive side, Likens is going to miss A.J. Wentland. This is as simple as that. You're not going to be able to replace a former defensive player of the year. Carlos Bronze returns, right? And then you go get Deshaun Hall Jr. to match up with Carlos Bronze on the outside, right? Now, I think this combo is going to be better than when the Russell Panthers had someone like Solomon, right? Because I think Deshaun is a little bit bigger, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more firm and setting the edge, right? Secondary, I love what they did in secondary, right? First, you go get 2 Surge brothers and Ben Wetzler and Marko Vinokovic, right, from the Surge. 2 really versatile DBs that could be safety, nickels, maybe some corner, right? Still got some more signings to go there, right? But you're off to a good start there. In my opinion, the holes at linebacker, we all know that. They know that. The holes at linebacker, that's going to be something they have to go fill. If I'm them, I'm just going to get Timmy Nuka, right? We had Timmy Nuka when he was a defensive rookie of the year. He's not returning back to Vienna. At least I didn't see he was returning back to Vienna, right? Go gauge his interest and tell him, listen, we had you when you were a rookie. It's your time to come lead the charge. Come lead our defense, right? So I'll be interested to following what the Panthers continue to do and who they continue to sign. Now, listen, still more needs to be done, right? They're going to have to shore up, the linebacker, as we just said. The offense, listen, this is going to be an offense that's going to give teams some troubles. They can match up with anyone, right? Currently constituted, right? They can match up with Vienna. They can match up with the Fire, right? Currently constituted, right? Overall, I think that the Panthers have done a good job this offseason, right? I think they've done a good job at getting talent. I think they got a good job at really strengthening that receiver group and really find ways to lighten the box with David Brzezowski, right? So I think the arrow's pointing up for the Panthers, right? But you know how this is. Drop a comment. You guys let me know what you think. How do we feel about the Panthers? How do we feel about, Berlin? What are our thoughts on the London team, right? Athletes Forum Podcast.